So when people are talking about the Olympic team and not bringing Caitlin Clark to Team USA, a lot of people are talking about how it's not actually the best 12, and the reason for it not being the best 12 is because Arike Ogunbowale isn't in it, and that is completely fair. But it turns out that the reason why Arike was not in the Team USA wasn't necessarily because she wasn't picked. She took her name out of contention. So you can see right here, Wings Ogunbowale, politics involved in Olympic selection. It says Dallas Wings guard Arike Ogunbowale told Nightcap podcast that she took her name out of the pool for US women's basketball months ago. So all that discourse about did they pick the best 12? Were they going to pick the best 12? Should Caitlin Clark have made it? No, Caitlin Clark's not the real slub. It's Arike. Even though at the same time, I do think Arike is too much of a shot chucker to really, to say definitively that she'd help that team. But it says here, she thinks politics goes in. The 12-member 5v5 who didn't make it were Caitlin Clark, Arike, Hannah Arike, who's been one of the top scorers in the league during her sixth. She's been one of the top scorers nearly every year. She averaged nearly 20 as a rookie. For me being me, I just felt the vibes, how she thought she was being assessed by US basketball. When it comes to that stuff, it really doesn't have much to do with your game. It's really about who they feel like fits the team. That's on the men's side too. I will say, that's not a bad thing. That's why Trae Young didn't make the men's team. Because they didn't think Trae Young fit with what they were going for. They didn't think Trae Young was going to fit with the team. So, I can kind of see. I can see the logic. I can see why they would maybe say, okay, if a player doesn't fit the team. The committee say they look for people who I don't know, honestly, but I could already tell. I actually took my name out of the pool months ago at the pool. It's a big commitment. If I know they're not picking me, I'm not going to keep going to camps. I know the vibe. I'm not going to give you my time. I know the vibe. And that's fair enough. That is completely justifiable. That is, again, why I said I didn't think they picked her was I think they were like, okay, yeah, she shoots way, way too many shots. So I'm like, okay. It kind of makes some sense as to why they would do that. But, she said there's so much talent in the WNBA, several players could be Olympians. 1,000,000% agree. It's subjective who they think is going to be on the team. Everybody's great in WNBA, so they choose who they choose. I can't really control that. So it is an interesting one. So she says, think of women's basketball, politics is always surrounding, whether it's USA basketball, all-star teams, all WNBA first teams, there's politics and everything. She's probably not, in fairness, she's probably not wrong. She's been really good this year. She won an All-Star MVP. She's going to be an All-Star this year. So you can see that she obviously took her name out of the pool right there. And at least it stops the whole discourse of who is the bigger snub, her or Caitlin Clark. Was Caitlin Clark the biggest snub for this Olympic team? Because she obviously took her name out of the pool, which meant that she couldn't be selected. So who was the biggest snub from that Olympic team as far as guards are concerned? I think you could definitely argue, because they don't really have a true point guard, you could argue that Caitlin Clark was the biggest snub because she's the only point guard. But if you want to say, okay, we can play Sabrina, we can play Kelsey Plum at the 1, we can play Jackie Young at the 1, depending on the situation. And then just saying, okay, yeah, we can play, we can play Ryan Howard. We can play Ariel Atkins. We don't need a point guard. I can maybe see that logic, but so Arike obviously not being chosen for 2 Olympics in a row. She's probably not going to get chosen, if we're being completely honest, for the next Olympics either. So I wouldn't be that surprised if Nigeria are in the Olympics. I think people were saying that she could have went and played for Nigeria, but obviously FIBA are a little bit iffy when it comes to that. They wouldn't let Chineye Nwumeke. They wouldn't let either of the Nwumekes, or I think there might have been 3 of them. Wouldn't let any of them play for Nigeria, as far as I'm aware. They definitely didn't let Nneka Nwumeke play. And that's the reason why she can't make a USA team, is that she has basically cut ties with FIBA and the USA. So she's cut ties with USA basketball to try and go play for Nigeria, and they wouldn't let her play for Nigeria, which is kind of mad. But so at least it kind of stops that argument that, she was the biggest snub and she should have made the team, because in reality, It's hard to make a team that you don't go for. At the end of the day, that is hard to do. It's very, very hard to make a team when you've pulled your name out of the pool to make said team. But yeah, when it comes to that USA team, though, she's definitely, as far as scoring guards go, the best there is in the WNBA. Like, if you want somebody that has someone whose game could be, like, I'm not going to say palatable, but, like, exciting to the masses. Like, there are really good players in the WNBA. I'm not going to be someone out here that's saying that A'ja Wilson's game is, like, super, super exciting for a casual fan. I think Caitlin Clark's game is super exciting for a casual fan, and I think Arike Ogunbowale's game are super exciting. They are the two players that I would say are the most exciting players in the WNBA. And if, honestly, I think bringing her to the Olympics might have got people excited, but I'm not going to watch Team USA's games, the women's, if I'm available. Honestly, I'll probably watch most of the men's Olympics I think I'm away for a few of the first games at the start of the Olympics. I think I'm away from like the 1st of August to the 4th, or I'm away from like 31st July to like the 5th of August. As soon as I'm back, I'll be live streaming like basically all day for the Olympics. I'm going to be doing long, long live streams of Olympic basketball for the entire day. But yeah, it is quite an interesting one. But anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it. Do you guys still think that they should have went and tried to go out of their way to get Arike to play? Do you guys think they should have gone out of their way to put her in the pool? Or do you guys think that it is what she says? Do you guys think it is politics? Because there 100% is politics involved. Like, there was politics. There would have been politics involved if you were bringing Caitlin Clark. There were politics involved in not bringing Caitlin Clark because of the great Diana Taurasi, one of the greatest players of all time. But, like, let's be real. If Diana Taurasi does not like a player, like Scott, there's no reason why Skylar Diggins-Smith should have been ostracized from USA basketball. But obviously, not being liked by Diana Taurasi is big. So, like, forget about all the ratings. There's only one player who can make that team. Despite not deserving it, and her name is Diana Taurasi. And you know what? If you're not a fan of Diana Taurasi, you're probably not going to make that team either. But anyway, yeah, that is basically it. That's basically it. So the Arike for USA basketball saga is over. If Chelsea Gray ends up being injured, I'm guessing it's going to be Caitlin Clark, because there's no way they would bring anyone else, because there's no other point guard in the pool, unless they want to go and play. Consider Hailey Van Lit's not even a point guard. I was like, unless they want to just bring Hailey Van Lit and try to play her at the 1 from the 3-on-3 team. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.